Alright guys, so we got some interesting news plus some not so interesting All-Star Weekend events, so let's just get into it. In the awkward newses of the day, we all know it's going to be awkward to see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant play for the same team again tonight at the All-Star game. Even awkwarder if they both get on the floor at the same time. You know, I'm imagining a lineup of Curry, Westbrook, Thompson, Durant, and Green. Steve Kerr, please go full troll mode. But anyways, if them just being on the same team isn't awkward enough, the PA announcer last night had to take it that extra mile just to make it a little bit more awkward.
OKC's own Kevin Durant in the house.
OKC's own Kevin Durant. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or he just decided to have some fun with it. Either way, I know I enjoyed it. Also, this is what happens when Kevin Durant sees a wild Russell Westbrook. You know, he might as well have gotten onto the ground and crawled against the wall to try not to be seen. Now, you gotta love the tension. LeBron James was asked about his rivalry with Stephen Curry yesterday, to which he said, quote, "I don't have a rivalry with Steph Curry. There's no way you can say, let's talk about rivalries, and you say Bird and Magic, Carolina and Duke, Ohio State and Michigan, and then say LeBron and Steph. It's disrespectful to those other three that I just named that you wouldn't even try to put us in the same class with that. We haven't had enough battles, and who's to say we'll have future battles? We'll see. But to put us in a category with them is impossible. You can't do it." Alright, so there's a couple of ways you can take this, but I get what he's saying. I don't believe any disrespect was aimed at Curry or the Warriors at all. And to an extent, he's right. You know, compared to the rivalries he mentioned, you really can't put LeBron versus Curry or Cleveland versus Golden State up there with them. There isn't enough history. The roots of the Cavs versus Warriors or the LeBron versus Curry rivalry, however you want to look at it, isn't deep enough. But still, NBA fans will consider the Cavs versus the Warriors as a rivalry in the NBA. But that's only because there really are no deep rivalries anymore. There is no LA versus Boston. There is no Magic versus Bird. There is nothing even close to that. I mean, what do you have? The Washington Wizards versus the Boston Celtics, OKC versus Golden State. I mean, that one could be interesting in a few years. If OKC gets some more talent to which they could at least compete with Golden State, that could be interesting. And then Cleveland versus Golden State, because the two teams have met in the finals the past 2 years. So I do get what he's saying when he says there is no rivalry between them. But LeBron, what are you suggesting when you say who knows if we'll have more battles though? I mean, both the Cavs and the Warriors have at least a 90% chance of reaching the finals again this year. I don't know, maybe in that statement he was just trying to be modest. Of course, we do have a little bit of trade rumors in the news today though. The Clippers and the Thunder are both seemingly interested in wingman Wilson Chandler from the Denver Nuggets. For the Clippers, this is actually no surprise at all. They need a wing and everyone knows this. Chandler, of course, isn't their first option, as that was Kevin Durant last summer. And then after that, the second option was Carmelo. Then I believe they wanted Gallinari, but Denver was asking for too much. And now it's Wilson Chandler. And Chandler is honestly the best option when you consider Carmelo and a Gallinari. He's a wing that can score in many different ways, and I feel he won't be too hard to incorporate into the offense. I know I look for them to pursue harder come closer to the trade deadline, if the Clippers fail to land Carmelo Anthony, that is. And like I said, the Thunder are interested as well. And I mean, the Thunder just need more scorers, period, especially those that are at least competent around the three-point arc. Right now, their best shooter, I believe, is Victor Oladipo, which is terrifying considering that he's never been known as a shooter. So acquiring Chandler will be a step in the right direction for this Thunder organization in order to build a contender around Russ. So we all expected this one to surface again. Jimmy Butler to Boston. There is not much to say on it, however, as this topic has pretty much been beaten to death ever since the draft last year. Of course, Boston has the assets to acquire Butler if the Bulls decide they do indeed want to enter the rebuilding process. And Danny Ainge basically said that he's not willing to trade for anyone that's going to be a financial liability in the offseason unless it's a star. So they're basically not making any mid-level trades, which you can understand. I mean, they're currently the second best team in the East, and getting a guy that's like not a Jimmy Butler or a Paul George or someone else on their level isn't going to boost their shots at taking down Cleveland at all. And that's basically all for the news. Like I said before, teams are doing a lot of work on the phones right now, but nothing ever comes out until after the break. Expect things to start heating up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now on to the events from last night. I'm not gonna lie, personally, I've never been fond of the skills challenge. You know, it's alright, but it's nothing that's ever got me too excited. It's basically like what's supposed to be the warm-up to the other event, except this time, this might have been the peak of the other events. Gordon, thanks for making me an all-star Hayward, defeated Isaiah Thomas, and then we had Porzingis and Jokic, the Joker versus the Unicorn, and it was the Unicorn that came out on top, getting his final shot to fall just before Jokic. And then in the finals, of course, you had Gordon Hayward and Kristaps Porzingis, and it was Porzingis who would take home the trophy. Congratulations to him. And at 7'3", he has to be the tallest player ever to win the skills challenge, but correct me if I am wrong. Eric Gordon, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Kyle Lowry, Wesley Matthews, CJ McCollum, Kemba Walker, and Nick Young. A lot of firepower out there on the court last night in the three-point contest, but none were greater than Eric Gordon. Defending champion Klay Thompson found himself with an early exit to the competition after needing 19 in the first round to stay in and coming up with 18. Eric Gordon finished with 24 points in the first round, and Kyrie had 20. And in the final round, it was Gordon versus Kyrie. And Eric Gordon trumped Kyrie Irving's 18 points with 21 of his own to become the 2017 NBA three-point champion. Congratulations, Eric Gordon. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the driest dunk competitions I have seen since they did that team thing a few years back. You know, there were a couple of nice dunks. When Derrick Jones Jr. dunked over the 4 people, that was pretty nice. And then Glenn Robinson did a dunk where he jumped over 2 people, you know, that was dope too. But Aaron Gordon's drone thingy, I mean, it was cool that he was like using a drone, but he just tried to do the most without knowing what he was doing at all. And after many failed attempts, the finished product was just, you know, nothing too special. And then in the finals, you had Glenn Robinson versus Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr. missed all 3 attempts on his second dunk and still got like a 45 or something like that. And Glenn Robinson did a similar jumping over 2 people dunk that he had already did to get a 50 and win it. You know, congrats to Glenn Robinson III, but overall this dunk contest is one that just won't be remembered. And if it is remembered, it'll probably be remembered as one of the most unexciting dunk competitions in NBA history. But that about wraps up everything that happened around the NBA yesterday. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like on it if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos. And you guys already know, I'll be right back here tomorrow recapping the All-Star game from tonight along with any other news that goes down. So until then, keep getting them buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!